Central Asian Mission is a very, very unique mission on the earth. It was formed July 2015. I was the first group to be able to start out in that mission nice and fresh. It consists of 7 countries: Turkey, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Right now, Turkey and Kazakhstan allow for us to be able to be there and to do our work. It's a very unique place. When I got there in Turkey, there was 11 of us. We call us volunteers, just volunteering for our faith. By the time I left, there was 23 or so. Lots of growth happening. When I got there, it was all elders. By the time I left, we had a few sisters. We have been improved for technology. There has been a huge amount of growth. When I got there, there was 3 branches in Turkey. As of this past Sunday of when this video is being filmed, we now once again have 7 churches in Turkey, if you want to compare it to the New Testament times that John writes to the 7 churches in Turkey in the book of Revelation. Something that the Istanbul branch president, now part of the mission presidency, has been dreaming for forever. A very great Turkish man. The demographic is you'll teach lots of Turks, the main thing you'll be teaching, and 99.9% of them are Muslim. Born and raised, some more religious than others, but they all have that, the vast majority that you'll meet with have that common background. You'll grow a lot more of an understanding of that people. It's unfortunate that in this part of the world they're seen with such a negative light, but you really start to see what real Muslim people are like. Actual people, not just idealized images on media, but very warm, emotional, passionate people that you'll definitely grow to love. The first mission that opened up in that area was during the Ottoman Empire times. They sent in missionaries very, very, very early on. And at first that mission technically encapsulated Israel and Saudi Arabia, and all of the whole Ottoman Empire basically was their mission. And back then they had more success with the Armenian Christians that were there. Of course, with the Christian background, being able to understand the gospel a lot more easily. They also taught Jews and Muslims and all different sorts of people. It went on for many, many years in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And yeah, unfortunately after the First World War, there was a lot of problems there, and so they moved down from the Aintab area, which is southeastern Turkey now, down to Aleppo in Syria. And eventually after that, they emigrated to Utah, Zion at the time. But nowadays, it's a nice big mission, probably the biggest mission with the least amount of missionaries. Don't quote me on that, but that's how it feels at least. If there's any big challenge, it's just such a different environment from most of the missions in the world. It's the closest mission we have to the Middle East, which is a miracle in itself. And the people are a lot different than you've ever interacted with. But it's wonderful to be able to be exposed to that. Because when you're teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ to people that have a lot of the truth, but don't quite understand the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ well, not quite understand the message of Christianity, you yourself grow a lot. You work so hard to study better, to understand these things better, to learn how to teach to the people's needs and understandings better, just because you really, really want to invite them to taste of the goodness of this message. Really focusing on the invitation part, not trying in any of the least way to force or coerce or manipulate in any way. No, that is not of God. But we are seeking only to invite others to come into Christ, to partake of the goodness that we have. And it's a wonderful experience over there. One common challenge that all the members face, the word of wisdom is a very big problem over there, just because, coffee, tea, tobacco, and alcohol, they do all of them basically. There's a big problem, especially tea. That is, like, Turkey drinks more tea than England, just to get that into perspective. And so that's definitely one thing that, you'll have to do your best to help them build their faith in Jesus Christ enough to just be able to say no to that daily, sometimes several times a day, temptation that comes. And you'll get used to saying no thank you for all the tea that you're going to be offered. Another thing is, of course, the cultural pressure over there. I feel like if there wasn't such a pressure to not learn about Christianity, just because of the unfortunate negative stigma that they have, just like we have a negative stigma over here about Muslims, they have a negative stigma about Christians. And so I feel like there'd be a lot more people that would want to learn about something like this, that would be interested in doing so, but are afraid to just because of the backlash they would receive from friends or relatives or anything like that. And so be patient with that, of course. And if there are any investigators or members that are struggling with that, just do your best to love them and fellowship them. And of course, above all, point them to the Lord, because it is their faith that will get them through this. Their faith that no matter how much opposition they might feel like they're facing now, I do have a very strong testimony that all things will work out for the benefit of those that do good and serve the Lord and follow Him. As for the branches over there, I mean, you'll see several different demographics. There's a lot of Iranian refugees that seek asylum in Turkey because they converted to Christianity in Iran, which is illegal over there. And many of them are searching for the truth, and so we don't even do anything to try and find them. They find us, we talk to them about it, and they decide to join. They're in Istanbul, being the large cosmopolitan city that it is. We have two branches, a Turkish branch and an international branch, and so you'll interact with all kinds of people over there. Yeah, you'll see all different kinds of people. Mostly Turks, of course, definitely, a lot of Turks. But I mean, I've met with people from Israel and from Iran, refugees from the Arabian countries. I never taught one, but you meet them, you'll see them on the streets, talk to them. You'll see all different sorts of things over there. So I served from June 3rd, 2015, I entered the MTC. I returned home May 24th, 2017, a little short of 2 years. It was about 10 days, I think. I began in Ankara, Turkey. I served there for a long time. I love that city, all the people there. It is the time where I spent the most, and so my heart is definitely there. We were in Berlin, Germany mission for a short 2-month period. After the coup d'etat, the Prophet felt it needed that we needed to relocate, be reassigned to Germany for a few months. We weren't exactly sure why, but we followed the Prophet. 2 months later, they sent us back. We thought we were going to be there for 3 months, but it's a lesson on following the Prophet, where we don't know exactly what the reasons were, but everything turned out okay. No one was hurt. No one was affected in any negative way. I later, in the last 4 months of my mission, was transferred to Izmir, Turkey. It is a city on the western coast. It is a beautiful city. I love how nice that city is. It is a very popular tourist destination because of how nice it is. It is close to some very historical Christianity sites. Ephesus, the city where Paul preached in Acts chapter 19, that he stayed in for several years, to whom the epistle to the Ephesians is written to. That is only a few miles away from Izmir. Inside Izmir itself was the ancient city of Smyrna, which is one of the 7 churches that John wrote to in the book of Revelations. We got a nice small branch going on in there. We have a few elders there. It's a beautiful city. I definitely hope I get to go visit again, just because it's a coastal city. Who doesn't love the ocean and everything? I don't know too much about church history in Turkey. I mean, I know while we were there, it was receiving a lot of attention. We received many visits from several general authorities. Even a few apostles of the Lord came and visited us. It was a great chance to be able to interact with them. Probably most of the church history, when it comes to Turkey, is the ancient church history. I already mentioned a few. Ankara itself is Galatia, who the epistle to the Galatians was written to them. And if you ever meet with Elder Holland, ask him about his experience dedicating Turkey and see what he tells you. I won't say anything more than that.